Everybody, this is Igor Cavalera, and you guys are on Agoraphobic News Metal.
It's really a pleasure to have you here. Is it true that Sepultura was here during the Yugoslav Civil War?
Yeah, long time ago. It was crazy.
Can you recall that moment?
I think we had some people come to the show. It was a bit outside, and actually some people who were supposed to be fighting, they came to the show, and it was pretty bizarre. I can't really recall what year was that, but it was a long time ago.
Around 1991.
Yeah, I think like early 90s for sure.
So, what do you expect from the Belgrade show?
I expect Đoković, you know, the tennis player, to show up, and Marina, Abramović. If they both are here, then I'll be happy. Otherwise, no.
Okay, and are you the one who brought the tribal influence to the band? The overall
Yeah, yes and no. I think yes in the sense that I try to put it on the beats, but then at one point I think me and Max, we start really pushing to have more of those percussive sounds in the record, and I was kind of like pushing him to do some drumming also, like with toms and things like that. So I think it's a combination of but it started out with me trying to put the samba beats and the Brazilian beats in like, especially on Chaos AD, I started to do a few more, and then of course on Roots we went very deep into that.
Yeah, and can you tell me what your biggest influences regarding the drumming? Are there some particular drummers that had a great impact on your style?
Well, definitely in the beginning for sure Stuart Copeland from the Police, and then later on Animal Taylor from Motorhead, and then later Dave Lombardo, of course, he's one of my favorites of all times, and Bill Ward from Black Sabbath. Those guys for me, it's like the basic of good drumming.
And what about Pete Sandoval or some?
I love his style. He's crazy, man. He was like such an insane drummer, but in a different way though, because Pete played very fast, but very light. You know, he didn't hit like super hard, so it was like a different style. But I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah, and when you started, you had like some of the blast beats on I think the song Antichrist.
Yeah.
Where did you get that beat?
I have to be honest with you, I did that beat because when I did the song Antichrist, I didn't have a kick drum. So everything was the snare and the floor. So it was like tac, 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 tac. So it was like no kick drums, and so that's why I did that beat. It wasn't really trying to do like a proper blast beat, even though it sounds similar to it, but if you really listen to it, it's a bit weird. It's not really a blast beat, but it's cool. I like it also.
And how did the Brazilian metal scene look like back in the days of dictatorship? I mean, during the '85.
Yeah, that was a bit after the dictatorship, so we still like at the end tail of it. And sorry, I need to turn off my phone. It's just getting a message. So yeah, it was still a lot of crazy stuff. Like I remember there was a band from Chile called Pentagram, and they came to visit us in Brazil, and he was telling me like any kid with long hair walking around in Santiago, the police would get them and cut their hair and stuff like that. So there was still some very crazy times in South America at that time. In Brazil, we never got to that point of people cutting their hair, but we would get a lot of hassle by the police because of the way we look, and we're very different at the time. But never something crazy extreme like that.
Yeah, and what about the bullet belts and all this stuff? I mean, heard that both belts and all this military wear was banned in
Yeah.
dictatorship. So.
Yeah, so we had to fake it. We had to make our own bullet belts with batteries and stuff like that, painted, and because we wanted to look like, especially like, you know, like Hellhammer and all those bands, you know, and also the German bands like Destruction and
Motorhead.
yeah, and Creator and Motorhead, of course. So we wanted to have that look, but we had no access to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and one of my favorite Sepultura songs is Inner Self. And are you guys playing that song live, or you just go with?
Not on this show. This show it's only Roots, and then at the end of the show we do some songs that it was like B-sides of Roots, like Celtic Frost, and then we will do a new version of Roots at the end, so we do two versions of Roots, and also a cover of Motorhead. No, actually we're doing Ace of Spades.
Yeah,
We changed a little bit.
That's a huge tribute.
Yes.
So can you recall some moments with Lemmy?
He was great. He was really funny. I have a really funny story with him. One time we were on tour with Motorhead, and I like to draw. I draw like little caricatures of people's face and stuff, like finding, you know, funny stuff. So I used to draw Lemmy in different places in the venue. Like on the catering, I would do Lemmy like in the table or in the toilet. I would do Lemmy, but I never signed. I just leave it there. And then one time I was like somewhere in the venue, and then Lemmy came in, and he was like, "Hey, I heard that you did the drawings of my face," and I was like, "Yeah." I didn't have how to say no, so I was like, "Yes," and he was like, "You have a sick sense of humor," and he gave me his book, the White Line Fever, and he was like, "Merry Christmas," and he gave me the book, and I was like, "Wow," and then I was like, "Can you sign it?" He's like, "Yeah," and he wrote something like, "Igor, you bastard," or something like that.
In school, because when he played Going to Brazil, he always said like the song is dedicated to Sepultura.
Yeah, man, he was such a great guy, and we had a chance to do a lot of tours with Motorhead, some really cool ones. I remember even having the chance to watch Motorhead with Phil Animal Taylor on drums.
Wow.
In one of the tours we did. Yeah, it was really cool. Like in Germany, they did a German like Christmas tour, and I was like tripping. I was like, "Man, this guy's my idol." You know, the drummer. I was like, "Fuck," and I was really sad when he died not long ago, because he was like for me one of my coolest drummers.
I can say that for Lemmy. He was such a huge
Yeah, I mean, Lemmy goes without saying, but a lot of people also
underestimate the filter.
Yeah, I mean, for a drummer, I think if you like fast beats with hardcore and rock, I think Animal was like one of the first guys to speed things up. He was like the coolest.
That's cool. And you haven't spoken to Max for 10 years, I guess. So why? I mean,
Well, like any family, sometimes you have, you know, with your brother, you disagree with certain things, and you end up fighting. And of course, we were both doing different things at the time, so we went our own ways. And then when we got together, to be honest with you, it was tough, but it was good, because now I have a relationship with Max that is much better than I had when we fought and things like that. Now we're really, really simple. We don't fight over stuff, we just talk, and we have a lot more conversations. So I think it was positive at the end.
And in his book, he said that you kind of saved him from overdosing and stuff like that. So was it hard for you to keep Max under control?
It's not really hard, because I always been there for him. Because I was, even though I was younger brother, we always had this relationship that we took care of each other all the time. So by seeing my brother a abused a lot of alcohol and drugs at the time, I was like, I didn't do anything. I was like my whole youth growing up, I didn't do any drugs or drinking because of my brother. I was like, nah, if we both do, we're gonna be dead. So one of us needs to be a bit more centered. So I was that guy. I was like kind of like, and plus we don't have a father, so I was kind of like, we always had this thing that man, if we don't have a dad, we need to be our own dad somehow. So that's why. But I'm always there for him.
That's great. And I have to ask you, after the Chernobyl explosion, you can sense all that Cold War paranoia in the thrash metal movement. So did that event have an impact on your music?
Well, musically, not that much, but like in general, as a person, yes, because everybody was super scared. And mainly because of the lack of information at the time. At the time, it's not like today where you have like all the communication channels a lot faster. So you can research and not only look at one news and whatever the news says and you start believing it. And today you can do much more research. More sources to look at. Even if you think something is not correct, if you look at a few things, you can do a balance when it's like, maybe they're being, to one side or to the other. So that was the scary thing about Chernobyl. It was like, we're in Brazil, even though like it's far away, but we were like, it's gonna get here one time, like it's like a chemical warfare thing. So we're gonna get fucked. So that was kind of like and that influenced us even to write songs and things like that at the time.
Yeah, and who came up with the idea for the Rise video with all the gas masks?
I think it was Max, and it was influenced by actually by a tattoo. The singer for Agnostic Front, he has this tattoo of a Jesus with a gas mask. And we're like, wow, this is like, if Jesus was right now with all this chemical things going on, he would be like in a gas mask. So that inspired us to have the video for Arise.
And you did a video in Israel for some territory. And how did the Israelis and Palestinians respond to that video?
It was weird because at that time, nobody was really going there to do this kind of things, so it was very guerrilla style, the way we filmed. We would just show up to the place and then, start filming some stuff, and then I remember Andreas had a guitar, so he did a lead like in the desert, but all the other stuff we're just like going through, like with the nomads and with different people just going through and they're filming us. So it wasn't really like a video shoot where you set up your drums and everything and everyone was like, wow. So it was a bit more obscure the way we did it. So but it was cool. Because also I think the cool thing about the video is that we don't really take any of the sides. We just show what was going on there, and that was our intention. It was more than saying like this is right, this is wrong, or it's just like this is going on right now.
Yeah, and in 1992 you released Third World Posse with photos of you in favelas. So was the mission of the band to show the world the dark side of Brazil?
Well, we always wanted to, because Brazil, it's always been like crazy with the way they portrayed, especially back in those days. It was either like they would show Brazilian football, or they would show this amazing vacation place in Brazil where everybody is beautiful. So we felt like we should show something that it's not one or the other. It's a bit more real. And the favela photo shoot, it was actually for a magazine that we did in Brazil. And then later we used that same picture for different things.
And I have to ask you about the Candomblé rituals. Can you tell us how to do it?
Well, the cool thing about all the rituals that happen in a lot of places like Brazil or in Central America, because it's a big mixture of the influence of European religion with the Catholic and all the other stuff, with the African religion, and plus some of the native of Brazil. So Candomblé and all those things, they're like, even though some of them were brought from Africa to Brazil, when they got to Brazil they got even more crazy because they mixed up with religions from the local, like their ideas, and also from the white that came from Europe there. So I find very, very interesting, like this kind of approach to religion, because it's almost like your religion had to adapt to that kind of environment, where I think especially in Catholic, they always try to make it one thing everywhere in the world and try to make it very, I don't know, like almost like militant about it. So I prefer this other kind of religion, which is a bit more open, and people can be a bit more, I don't know, can have more thoughts about it.
Yeah, and you come up with, did Max come up with the idea to travel to the Indian tribes in the Amazon?
Yeah, he talked to me, and at the time I was like, I don't know if that's possible, because he was like, we should do this, and I was like, I'd love to, but how can we do this? So we did a bit of research, and he was, I think, looking through an album, or a few albums from some tribes and stuff, and he kept saying the name of this lady who was like kind of like organized things, and then she, I have this name. So the label got in touch with her, and she was like, yeah, I can arrange for them to meet and see if the tribe wants to do something with them. So it was a bit of a crazy situation, because we were like, first we didn't know how to approach, and also we didn't know if they would want to do something like this. Because at the time I had to say, in Brazil, most people didn't want to have much to do with Sepultura, because it is like an extreme kind of music. It's not like pop music. So we didn't know if it would work out.
And can you recall that moment of meeting the Indians?
It was cool. And the coolest thing about it, since the beginning, is that we were there to do some music with them. And that was the idea. It was not us trying to save the Indians or going there just to do an experiment. We went there and we wrote a song together, and that song is on the album. That's all we wanted to do, and I think that was the coolest thing about it. It was very simple.
And they get the royalties from
Yes, of course, because we wrote together the song.
That's really, was that a jam or inside?
Yeah, I mean, we try a few things, because the cool thing about it also, they don't have any instruments in the tribe. It's all singing where they do, so we could play, so it was a lot easier for us to adapt, where they just start singing something and we try to do a rhythm session on what they were singing, so it was very cool.
And you also played the Kaiowas?
Yeah, Kaiowas we play for them, not with them. Because they asked us to play a song, because they did a ritual like, with dancing and stuff, and they're like, can you guys play something for us now? And we're like, let's do Kaiowas, because there was a song, we didn't have any guitars or anything like that. There was no electricity there. Even the recording was made with car batteries. There was not even a generator there, so it's very raw.
Yeah, and when you look at the Roots record, and for instance, Beneath the Remains or Arise, was it more challenging for you to play all the thrash and metal stuff, or the groove and the roots?
I think both are cool challenges. I mean, for me as a drummer, I try to never stop learning. I'm always like looking for new things to do on the drums and to experiment. So I think trying to play something like Roots, it's very difficult, and also something like Arise or even Schizophrenia, it was also very complicated in a different way, where there was a lot of riff after riff changes, a lot of changes, and that's what at the time we were totally into it.
And what do you have to say to the fans?
Well, I think I'm really excited for the show tonight. It should be like I said, I was joking, but I'm kind of serious that there's two people that I mentioned, Đoković and also Marina. I'm a big fan of their, you know, especially her with her art. It's amazing. I love, like, I think it's amazing because she's such an artist. It's like,
have you seen her art?
yes. I never got to meet her. My wife met her once, went to a workshop with her, but I got to see, I have her books. I saw a lot of her stuff online.
She's really old. Like, I was like, she's like 60 or 70.
Yeah. She's amazing. I love her. And also Novak, you know, the tennis player. I love his spirit.
Really?
Yeah, I'm into tennis. I like tennis, and I think he's one of the coolest. You know, like because he's such a passionate guy, and I think that's very important.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Too bad, Max.
I know, man. Well.
I mean, I'm